Okay, so I did create this tutorial about chart in Microsoft Excel, which looks like the Apple Watch, and although it's not stated in the title, it's part 1, so I thought maybe let's finish it today. And it will not be a part 2 because I will start from scratch and maybe do some things a little bit different, but the outcome will be very similar to the previous tutorial. So this is what we want to create today. Let's get started. I will jump into blank Excel spreadsheet. And there are a few different, charts which we can choose from. And you may be thinking maybe this donut one is the one that we want to use, but it's actually not the case because the donut, just draws the fills and we want to draw the lines. So instead of using the donut, we will do the very similar thing as we did previously, and we will use the scatter type of chart. And the advantage of scatter is it's just a canvas for us to place points, so we'll just provide points and it will either draw it as a points or connected lines or smooth lines. So let's get started. Let's say I need x and y positions for each point, and maybe let's say we want to draw a point from 0, 0 position going to, I don't know, like 1, 1, and maybe then I can go to -1, 1, and maybe back to 0, which probably should draw a triangle. Let's see how this goes. So I will select everything and create a new chart being this one, which is this scatter with straight lines. And indeed you can see we've created this kind of triangle looking shape. So it starts with 0, 0, goes to 1, 1, then to -1, 1, and back to 0, 0 position. I mean, this is nice, but we don't want to draw triangles, we want to draw circles. So let's see if we can somehow draw circles. So I will move this to the side, and for the circle we actually need the angle. So I will insert a new column in here, and I will call this angle, and let's just put some angle values going from, I don't know, with increments of 30 from 0 to 360. So the equation to draw a circle is very simple. We will just plug in the sine values into one axis and the cosine values in the other axis. So let's just use the sine for the x, so sine, and then we will use this angle value. The thing is that the sine function requires the angle to be in radians, and those angles are in degrees. So I want to convert this to radians by typing radians, and this will convert it to radians. And maybe I will just make sure that the A cell is not changing by adding this symbol, and that should be fine. So I'll just do this for all the cells. And for the y value, I want to plug in the cosine function, which is, I'm not seeing my right symbol. So cosine, again, for this angle, again we need to convert this angle to radians first. So let's just say cosine, and in here radians of A2, and again the A shouldn't be changing, so just put in this symbol and use it for all the cells like so. Now we can see something, but that's only part of the circle because we are only sampling those 4 lines. So let's just increase the area of the sampled points, and if I do so, you can indeed see that we have a nice looking circle. Maybe it's not nice looking, but it's a circle. It's very not very smooth, but we'll fix it later. So the first thing, I will just hide the chart title because we don't need a title, and maybe what I can do is I can try to smooth it out. And the nice thing about the chart is we can change the chart to draw a smooth line. So let's just open the design, select the change chart type, and we have this option to draw smooth lines between the points. If I click OK, you can see there is still a little bit of problem on top where there is this 0, 0, 0 angle, the starting and ending point. But we will fix it later by providing more values. I mean, right now we are only providing like 13 different angles, which is not so much to draw a circle. But let's just ignore this small glitch in the circle. I can right click, select format data series, and for the fill, actually for the line, I can just increase it to maybe like 20 points, and you can see that we are getting somewhere. We are getting similar result as we are looking for, like this. Now, few things. We probably don't want to go all the way to the 100% to the 360. So let's see how it goes if we just increase the angle in a small increments, like by 20, which only goes from 0 to 240. You notice that it looks fine, except it's stretched. And it's stretched because by default it tries to look for the minimal and maximal values and adjust the chart appropriately, which is not what we want in this case. So I will click this axis, and for the axis options, I will actually make sure that the minimum and maximum values are not set to auto. So I will just plug in my own values, maybe going from -0.6 to 0.6. And I will do the same for the x-axis as well. So in here, I want to go from -0.6 1.6 to plus 1.6. So as I change the values, as I change the area of the circle which should be displayed, the graph will not change the dimensions. And just to make sure that there really is a circle, I will select the graph area, and in the size options I will make sure that whatever is being set to width is also set to height. So this is really a square, and whatever is being drawn inside is a circle. So that's a great start. What I can maybe probably do now is to change my color palette, so I can select colors from the color palette, and then when I change the color palette, the colors will be changed as well. So inside the page layout, I will open colors, and I will select probably this red violet one. Okay, so how I did the background circles was by adding a new set of data. So this, I can probably draw this with the circle, but I thought maybe if I draw this as another piece of data, I can modify it more easily. So let's try to create one more circle below this one. So maybe I will add a few more cells in here. I will select insert, and now if I hit F4 on my keyboard, it will just repeat the last step, so I can add more cells in there. That's a nice trick for Microsoft Excel. And I need few different values, and you can see I need radius, offset, and value, but for right now, let's just say I only need value, because that's why I already need. So I need value which will go from 0 to 100, and let's just say 100 for now. So, and the angle should probably go always from 0 to 360. So it will always go from 0 to 360, but then I will, then I will multiply the angle value by this value. So it will actually go, if I multiply by 50 or 0.5, it will only go to 180. So let's just plug in angle values going from 0 to 360 with maybe a smaller increment being 10. So I'll just go down until I will see 360, like so. And I will just make this bigger as well. And for the chart itself, I will just increase the, all the data points. So now we go up all the way to 360. I will just multiply the angle value by this value, so by 100. But because it's 100, I want this to be, I want this to be divided by 100, so I can get, percentage. So I'll just divide this by 100. And in here, the number 3 shouldn't be changing, because this will always reference the line 3. And for this one, it will be the same. So again, I will just multiply it by 100. I will divide it by 100 and put it inside the brackets, just in case. Just in case, put it inside the brackets and make sure that the number 3 is not changing. Then I will use this formula for all the cells in my chart, and nothing has really changed because we are using value of 100%, which is not changing anything. So let's just see what happens if I change this to 50. And it's kind of strange because we are using value 50 for X, but value 100 for Y. So let's just make sure that this is actually referencing the same value, so equals this cell. So now it should be working just fine. So I can set it to 30, I can set it to 20, or even to 10, and you can see there's some kind of animation going on, which is kind of strange looking for this chart, but I mean, that's fine. Okay, so this is the first part. We want to change the value, and we want to have another set of data so we can have like a background shape. So I will just probably copy everything from here. So I just copy this one more time, and something is wrong. Maybe I have to plug in this value also. Yeah, it's now working. So I have two different set of values, this one and this one, but it's not of course updating in the chart because I need to add those data. So I'll right click and select data, and this is named Y because I don't know why, but let's just name this light pink, because it will be light pink in the later on. And let's just add another set of data being pink for the name, and for the X values I will use those values, and for the Y values I will of course use those values. Hopefully I've selected it right, we will see. Okay, and let's just click OK, and we can see that something is happening, and it's very hard to see because we have this bold pink line. So let's just make it a little bit transparent, actually like maybe to like 85%. So this is this first part, and then we have the second, which is actually smaller because the value is set right now to 50, so let's just make it the other way around. This is only like 30. Sorry, I didn't want to change this one. So maybe I will just recolor the text size to gray, so I know that I shouldn't be changing this one. And I want to also reference this one, so I shouldn't be changing this one. So 30 and this maybe like 90. So I will select this line, which is the 90 line, and make it bold as well. So make it 20 points, set the same pink color, and now we cannot see the background. So for the background, I will always set it to 100, so it will always be a full circle. And for the actual value, I can specify the value in here, mean like 50 or 40 or whatever. Okay, so that's a great start. We need a few more things, because if we want to add more circles into the chart, we need to control the size of the circle, the radius of the circle. So let's just add a new value being the radius. And the radius is basically just multiplying this value. So I will just multiply this value by certain radius. So let's just set the radius to 1 for now and multiply everything. So multiply by radius. And again, I don't want to number 1 to be changing, so I will just multiply it by B2. This should be multiplied by C2. Again, the number 2 shouldn't, the column, not the column, but the line 2 shouldn't be changing. This will be multiplied by D2, and the last one should be multiplied by E2, like so. Then I will just select all 4 cells and make sure that this equation is used for all the cells. Okay, fine. Nothing has changed, but that's expected, because multiplying something by 1, of course, makes no difference. So let's see what difference is if we just change this to 0.8. And obviously I'm only changing it to x direction, so I need to make it the same for the y as well. And you can see that now the circle is a little bit smaller. So what I can do is also, use the same value for x and y, because I probably don't want this to be stretched in the x and y direction. So by plugging a different value, like 1.4 or even like 0.5, I can resize the circle. Now obviously for the light pink and dark pink, I will most likely use the same radius, but I will use a different radius for a different data set. So maybe before I add a new data set, I will add one more value, which will be for offset. If you take a closer look at my chart, you can see that the background circle is actually a little bit offset, a little bit moved to the bottom compared to the dark pink, the value pink circle. So let's try to do the same. I will call this offset, and I will offset by 0 for now. So the offset is simply adding the value to the equation. So I will just say plus my offset. Again, the line 1 shouldn't be changing, so I will just make sure it's not changing. And I will do the same for all 4 different cells. So plus C1, the 1 shouldn't be changing. I will add D1 to this one, and for the last one I will add E1 without changing the 1. Again, select all 4 cells and make sure that this equation is used for all the cells. Nothing has changed because the offset is set to 0, and adding 0 to something makes no difference. So let's see if I can move it in the y direction by plugging like 0.1. And you can see it indeed move. If I enter a negative value, it will move to the bottom. If I plug in some value to the x offset, it will move it to the right or move it to the left. So I can basically move everything around. What I want to do now is just move the background circle to be minus 0.08, which is the value which I was using for my chart. And now I want to add a drop shadow effect for this pink circle. So I will select the circle. If this is not being opened, I will right click and select the format data series. And for the fill options, actually for the effects options, I will open shadow and select one of those presets. Make sure that the color is the same as the chart, so it's the pink color. Lower the transparency, increase the blur a little bit, and maybe then I will move it so it's somehow aligned with the background shape, like so. This kind of looks nice. Okay, I probably don't need to see those grid lines and axes, so I'll just hide this, and I have a nice looking chart. So let's see if we can quickly add a second set of values. Maybe I will just add some colors in here so I can see which is which. So this is light pink, this is the dark pink. And then I will select everything and just copy it a few more times, like 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so this will be probably light blue, and this will be a blue color later on. I mean, right now we cannot see anything because those data are not in the chart yet, so let's just fix this. So I'll right click, select data, and add a new data. For X values I will use the light blue. For the Y values I will use again light blue being Y, and I can probably name this light blue, just so we are sure which is which. Add a new one which will be blue, and again X values will be blue values for the X, and the Y values will be Y values for the blue one. Okay, like so. And we can see we are getting somewhere. I mean, somehow it tries to compute those offset values. I don't want to do this, so for the light blue it should also be minus 0.08, and there shouldn't be no offset for the blue one. And we should probably make this smaller, so let's just change the radius to 0.7 for example for both the light blue and the dark blue. And somehow I don't see the dark blue, but don't know why. And I can see the number 7 in here, which is kind of strange. I shouldn't be seeing. Oh, okay, I've set the radius to 7, not 0.7. Okay, so 0.7 for the blue one. So for the blue one, again, I will increase the width to 20, set the color to blue, and that's it for now. For the background one, I will use the very same color, 20, but make the transparency to 85. And I will add the same looking drop shadow. So for this one, I was using values 17, 10, and 11. So let's just use the same, 17, 12, and 11, and of course the color should be blue as well. Okay, and that was pretty quick. I was able to very quickly add a new set of data. Obviously it has the same value of 40, so I can just make it, I don't know, like 60 or maybe 80, so there is some difference in the values. Maybe for now I'll just set it to 60. And a few more things which are missing. One of those is I had those labels on top of the chart, so let's see if we can quickly add this as well. So I will do this by inserting a new text box, so insert shapes text box, and I will draw it like so, and I want to use the same value which is in here, being the 40 for the pink. But if I click in the formula bar and then click on the cell to get the cell value, it will actually select the cell instead. So what I have to do is to click in the text box first, click in the formula bar, and here I have to type the value. So equals, and the cell is D3. Okay, so equals D3, and that should give me the number. If I want the percentage sign, I can either do it from here, or maybe I can just change this, values to actually show the percentage. If I would select those cells and change the type of the cell to display to be percentage, that will basically make everything 100 times bigger, which, we didn't account for this. So maybe instead of doing it like this, I can set it to a custom. So select more number formats, select custom, and just make sure that after general, I type in percentage sign into the quotes, which will just edit the percentage sign for me, like so. So now you can see the value has updated in the text box. So the only missing part is to make sure that there is no fill and no outline for the text box. The text itself is being right aligned, and maybe I'll change this to Calibri Light, make it a little bit bigger, like, I don't know, 24 points. Of course, change this color of the text to be pink, and maybe I can even add a little bit of drop shadow in the same color but bigger distance, and maybe a little bit more blurred, like so. Then I can copy paste this and move it to the bottom. And for this I want to use this value for the blue one, which is 60%. So I'll type in H3 for the value, so H3. And by doing so, you can see that the formatting was reset to the cell formatting, which so not what I like, but let's just change it. So being Calibri Light, I was probably using 24 as for the point size, and the color should be blue for both the text and the shadow, like so. Okay, And I think we are getting there. We don't actually need to see all those values for, for individual points. So I can select everything and maybe, change the text color to be white so it's not getting in our way. I can move it right here, of course, together with the text frames. And then I can play with the values and see what I like. I mean, if you don't like the offset, you can, of course, just get rid of the offset and make sure, it will just move the background circles to be matching the values. Or if you want to do something different, maybe you don't want this to be all the way to 100% to 360 degrees, because if I would change this to 100%, you can see now it goes over the text, which is maybe not what I want. So maybe I can say, the maximum value for the background circles is not 100%, but maybe only 75%, which is, looking a little bit better. Or maybe I can go to like, I don't know, 90, and it will still work just fine because there is still a space for the text. If I want, I can probably, display those circles not over each other, but next to each other. And I can use this offset function. So I'm not offsetting anything for the X direction. Let's just make sure that this is X and Y, X and Y, X and Y, X and Y. I maybe have, should have done this from the beginning. So it's obvious this is for the X and for the Y. And for most parts, for the radius and value, we are not changing the Y values because this should be the same. If we do, if you want the circles, this should be the same. But we are also not changing the X offset for anything, but we can very simply just move this, -1 for the pink one and 1 for the blue one, and maybe make this the same size, so radius is 1 for both, and maybe I need to move it a little bit more, so -1.5, and this will be 1.5 for the X. And now suddenly, no, it doesn't fit into our area, so I will make this twice the size. So for the size of our chart, I will just set the width to be twice the size, which is hard for me to calculate, but with the help of the calculator, it's 13.86, so this is twice the size. And now I want this area, which is being displayed, to be twice the size. So maybe what I do is I will just show the axis, and for this the X axis, I want the minimum and maximum values to be twice the big, so -3.2 and +3.2, like so. Then I can hide those axes and, of course, move the text boxes appropriately. And now I have two different, circles next to each other. Maybe the size is too big. I can, of course, change radius to be smaller, like, I don't know, 0.6. It will probably look better if those are a little bit smaller, but you get the point. You can do whatever you want because we've set up this chart to be pretty dynamic, so everything could be controlled with just those few settings. And that's it for today's tutorial. I hope you like it. If you do, please let me know in the comments, and I hope to see you next time. Thank you for watching, and bye.